And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premiere podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. This is not the premiere show. This is the premiere podcast. Premiere show is news time. Here we are. If you do hear, very late, I'll explain in a second. If you do hear birds tweeting in the background, not birds tweeting in the background. I do have the patio door open for little girl Nova to go outside and enjoy. I've been gone all day, and I would like for her to get some outdoor time. As you can see behind me, I'm pointing with the mouse. If you're watching the video. Oh, episode 201. Constitutionals Podcast. CPlusComedy.com. It's a website. Go there. In the background, you can see that I do have a used from next door, high top dining table. 3 chairs it came with. It's pretty decent. Should probably take off one cup so I can hear if this stupid cat makes noise. She likes to meow when I go out there. When she's out there and she's talking to the birds. They go tweet tweet. She goes meow as loud as possible though. Here we are recording very late, but I have an excuse this time. It's not because I was lazy. On Friday, I hit the microphone. On Friday, the power. I'm in the dining room of my apartment, and the outlets went out. They just died. And this happened once before, but this time it happened once before when I have this Brother printer. I'm now touching. You can't see it. It's off screen. I was a PA on a show for Fox, on a dating show for Fox that is yet to air. Hopefully it'll be out soon. Actually, you know what? I don't care. I don't get residuals from that. I don't care. There's a show that's coming out. And I was a PA on a show, and they were leaving Atlanta. And so, with some of these productions, when they have to pack up and go, they have to sell their stuff. They have to sell stuff or just get rid of it. And so I got this chair that I'm sitting in. I got a hot water kettle. I got this expensive printer. So there we go. That's me. Anyway, so I plugged in this printer. When I pulled it out of my wasn't it in my storage? No, I just plugged it in for the first time. I'd say like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and like directly into the wall because I thought that'd be best. And then it works for a little bit. Turned it off. Came back a couple hours later and it shorted out every single outlet in the dining room. Go to the breaker box because I'm an adult and I know how to do this stuff. And it is it's not labeled. The dining room is not labeled inside the breaker box. So I'm flipping every other place. It's the bedroom, hallway 1, hallway 2, which is they consider. So the hallway, there's a bedroom on the other side. There's a wall right next to me. Bedroom on the other side, bathroom, and the laundry room. But they consider, I guess, like in between, they consider like everything past the table, but before the living room, another hallway, which is not true. It's not big. It's not big at all. I don't know why they do that. Anyway, all that to say is I flipped all the switches, didn't work. And then it happened again this past weekend. And I can't record the podcast. So I put in the maintenance request. And then yesterday, I'm about to cook something with the Instant Pot, plug in the Instant Pot, and where it is, it's directly next to my stove, the Instant Pot, in its own little alcove. And when I first moved in, that plug was not working. So then I pressed the button to reset the plug, works fine. Tell you the story because that plug is the I guess the breaker for the dining room. Because as soon as I pressed that button yesterday to get the Instant Pot working again, the desk light came on because it's a smart bulb in there, and so it just came on, and then the printer comes to life, and the Google Home comes to life, the Macs I have over here, and I'm just freaking out. I go that's where that was. And now we have 5 minutes of a story at the top of this show. So there we go. If you are watching the video, you might notice that for this episode and the last episode on video, it's like I'm shooting at 2 frames per second. I don't know why this is doing that. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Hey, let's move on to the first topic. This first one comes from IGN, and I found it yesterday. Written by Adam Bankhurst. You know, it's interesting. I was thinking about this past weekend because I have a lot of time to think. And a lot of time to think. Title. There we go. It's that easy. All you have to do is just say some words. And you come up with the title of the show. 5 minutes in. 6 minutes in. Excuse me. And I was thinking about this weekend. You know, I used to like things on the internet, and now I don't. And IGN is definitely one of them. I mean, I go there. I go to IGN, for news and stuff. But I could care less about reviews and the personalities on the website anymore. I used to love the personalities, but now I know them by cursory because I read the articles. But now I'm just not. I'm less of a fan when I know what I'm saying anymore. Adam Bankhurst, IGN, got a text. Days Gone director says if you love a game, buy it at full price. Now, this is something I've been thinking about for years. Years. We'll get to this first. Days Gone creative director and writer John Garvin said that he's no longer with Sony Bend, I believe, is the one who produced the game or developed the game. Creative director and writer John Garvin said that if you love a game and want a sequel, you should buy it at, quote, buy it at effing full price. As reported by VGC, Garvin was a guest on God of War creators David Jaffe's YouTube show, which I didn't know existed, and discussed many topics regarding Days Gone and his time in the video game industry. His appearance also arrives a bit over a week after Bloomberg's report of an unsuccessful Days Gone 2 pitch from Bend Studios. So Days Gone is a zombie game, open world game that was on PS4. It was an exclusive, and within the past like 2 weeks, it was announced for PC, or I guess it was announced for PC a while ago, but I don't pay attention to that stuff. It was announced for PC, and now it's coming out on PC, and it was given away for free for PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold are these things where you subscribe, you get to play your games online, but also they give you free games. Sometimes they're really good in the case of PlayStation, sometimes they're really bad in the case of Xbox. That's why you got to have the best of both worlds, baby. Get both. Spend all your money on 2 consoles and get a bunch of games that you'd never play. This guy. It's hard. I can't imagine an adult that, goes to work, has a social life, and also plays games and does other adult stuff and then also plays games. and continuously does that. For me, baby, it's gym tan laundry. We're still doing references to the Jersey Shore, right? Garvin was asked if he heard Days Gone being added to PlayStation Plus collection on PS5 caused a, quote, meaningful uptick of engagement. So what happens is these games that come with Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, they're announced a couple weeks ahead of time, and people are excited, to talk and to play the game. Gears of War 5 is on Xbox Live, is on Gold, is on Xbox Gold, Xbox Live Gold, and I can't wait to, there's, people who bought it before are excited because that means more people are going to play. But that also doesn't mean that it's going to be retention, because Sony and Microsoft are paying a certain amount of money to those developers so that these games can be free. The guy said, Mr. Garvin said, I do have an opinion on something that your audience may find interesting and might piss some of them off. If you love a game, buy it at effing full price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, yeah, I got that on sale. I got it through PlayStation Plus, whatever. And I mean, he's right. Waiting for a sale, yes, that saves your wallet, but it doesn't help, especially if it's a game like Days Gone that probably did not sell well. People talked about it, and people were excited because it's a PlayStation exclusive, and people are so they've beaten the drum about exclusivity and stuff, what's the best console and everything. But it did come out buggy, but no, it's the best game in the world when it comes out. But yeah, buy a game at full price to support it. Waiting for it on sale, or I think that also not talking about it. I think you can support a game and a movie and a TV show by liking it, liking the people behind it, and if you can't afford to watch the movie, the show, or play the game, then I think that just talking about it, because I think public engagement is also a big factor of it. Because if let's go back to Gears of War 5. If Gears of War 5 is an exclusive on Xbox One, and the obviously most Xbox One gamers are going to get it. People talking about it and having the conversation around it is going to keep it in the zeitgeist for as long as it's going to be. It's like having a Netflix show. Ginny and Georgia was renewed for season 2 today, and Netflix, even they don't release numbers, but they release numbers for this show, 52 million, and that's. And the way Netflix does it, because I remember the first time Nielsen talked about doing their own ratings for streaming services. I remember it was for Stranger Things, and they basically did the equivalent of measuring per episode. So like your view for a Netflix movie doesn't count unless up until 30 minutes in or something, like 30% of the movie or something like that. And then once you get to that, that threshold, then it counts. It means you watched the movie even though you haven't really finished it or even gotten halfway through. So anyway, buy a game, buy games. Don't wait for a sale. Yes, it'll save your wallet, but I mean in the long run, because they're gonna make another Last of Us, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily gonna make another Metal Gear. Well, Konami has its own problems. This next one comes from Ars Technica. Speaking of PlayStation, I want a real PlayStation kick. Written by Kyle Orland. The looming software kill switch lurking in aging PlayStation hardware. So this is talking about the PS3 and the PS4. There are firmware. I covered my mouth for some reason. There are firmware. There's a firmware inside of the PS3 and PS4. There are these internal batteries and online timers that check to see if you are online. And at some point, there's a life to them, and at some point they die. And if Sony can change this, let's make this clear. Sony can change this. The ticking firmware time bomb has been known in certain PlayStation preservation and hacking circles for a while, but it's gaining new attention amid Sony's recently announced decision to shut down the online stores for PS3, PSP, and Vita software. While that impending store shutdown won't impact players' abilities to play and re-download previously purchased software for now, the eventual wider shutdown of PSN servers for these aging consoles could have a much more drastic effect on the playability of a wide swath of games. And you know what? I'm gonna preface this here with yesterday. It's a beautiful Sunday, taking a rest because I had a long and busy Saturday. So I'm just hanging out with the cat, sitting on the couch, and I go, let me fire up the old Xbox. Ooh, let me turn on the old Xbox. NHL, I got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. NHL 21 is on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Let me download it. It took about 3 hours. No, it took like an hour. Even on gigabit internet, it's crazy. I pay $70 a month for gigabit internet. My Xbox is right next to the router. I understand I can plug it in, but I'm not going to do that because it's too much. And I preloaded MLB The Show on Xbox because that's coming to Game Pass, baby. Anyway, I downloaded NHL 21, and and EA now forces you to create an EA account so you can play a game online. And guess what games that EA makes are mostly online? They're sports games. So I had to create an EA account just so I could do, there's like 4 modes that are online only. And then I played one of those modes, And I was playing with bots. I wasn't even playing with people. I was playing World of Chell with bots. It wasn't people. You know why I know? Because I scored 3 goals. We won, baby. It was like 12-0. So the root of the issue, there's a thing called a CMOS battery inside every PS3 and PS4. And it keeps track of the current time, even if it's unplugged, even if something has happened, even if you change the time. That battery dies or it's removed, then the console and the system's firmware goes, hey, whoa, this shouldn't be working. The system in question has to check in with PSN the next time it needs to confirm the correct time. On the PS3, the online check happens when you play a game downloaded from the PS Store. On the PS4, this also happens when you try to play retail games installed from a disc, because you have to install games on PS4 and Xbox One, and also PS5 and Xbox Series X. The check has to be performed at least once, even if the CMOS battery is replaced with a fresh one, so the system can reconfirm clock consistency. So it's not going to happen now. But there are people, say me, I own a PlayStation 1, the first console that we had. We had the one with pole position, Atari 2600. We had an Atari 2600. That's long gone. But wait, I still have our PlayStation 1, me and my sisters. And then I have a GameCube. Now, since those aren't online, I can play those for as long as possible. Same thing for NES, SNES, the PS2, every single console before the 3 and all that stuff. But in 10, 20 years, from when the PS3 or that PS4 left the production line, then there's going to be you're going to have trouble with that. So these servers are going to shut off no matter what. Now Sony could say, and he writes in this, Mr. Orlean, is that his name? Should know this. Mr. Orlean. He does mention that Sony could update the firmware to say, hey, change this, but I don't think they'll do that. That's kind of like what is the Pokemon Silver. In the early Pokemon games, for Game Boy Color and Game Boy, they had these batteries that no matter what was going to happen, the silver would die. Now, I don't know if that's true with the earlier ones, because I do have a blue that someone gave me when I graduated high school. And he gave me a yellow Game Boy because it was the color of my school. It was very nice, and I teared up. He gave everybody else hats. He gave them like UGA hats and Georgia Tech hats, but he gave me his old Game Boy with Pokemon Blue, and it was a yellow Game Boy because it was the color of my school. And I was, oh my God. And I cried in front of him. I ain't a wimp. But I do have I did turn it on recently. Within the past year, so probably within the past month, truth be told. Let's keep moving. Written by Kim Lyons at The Verge. Reuters finally decides to charge you for its online news stories with the paywall. Guys, it costs as much as Wall Street Journal. $35 a month to read Reuters. I gotta tell you, I don't think I've been to Reuters before. Reuters.com draws in 41 million unique visitors monthly, according to the company, but has not charged for access like other news sites in its business-centric niche have done for some time, like the New York Times, like Wall Street Journal. The Journal charges $39 a month. And it put up its paywall in 1996. And Bloomberg charges $35, put up its paywall in 2018. I remember when that happened. Because I had never heard of Bloomberg. And it was a big deal. God, I was out of college. I was way out of college at that point. Jesus. I was closer to this age than I was that age. Reuters said it generates half of its revenue from its largest client, the financial data firm Refinitiv. Yep. And also makes money from online advertising, obviously. The company says it has redesigned its website with a professional audience in mind and plans investment in segments like legal news and live streams of events. Oh, okay. You know who started live streams of events? New York Times. They sent an email this past week talking about the stuff they're going to do. And I did sign up for one. And it happened, and I was making dinner, and I just completely forgot. Online news, and in some cases print, where these a lot of the big places had to come from, because I think Bloomberg still prints a magazine. I know they still print a magazine. And the New York Times prints their paper in the mag, and then Wall Street Journal prints their paper in the mag. And I mean, they used to be powerhouses, and now they're losing the likes of BuzzFeed and YouTube in terms of people getting their online news. And they have to make this money. But the thing is, I think this is why unions are so important for. I'm sorry, I just see an article that's titled "Why I Left" on The Verge. Oh God, and it's about Twitter. Don't write about why you left. Just leave. Anyway. But especially for these business-centric ones, I think it's important that the writers get unions, and then because New York Times, the tech editors formed a union. I think I talked about that, but I think it's important that they get these unions, and then also they get fair payment for themselves, because it's just asinine that they aren't making money for that the big people at the top are making the money. And then the people at the bottom who are actually doing the work, writing the articles, doing the interviews, putting together the website, the podcast, all that stuff, they're not getting they're not seeing any type of great kickback. And then Facebook and Google have talked about initiatives that are paying publishers so they can license their stuff. But I don't think New York Times is going to pay for that. Because they're specifically not with Apple News Plus, because you can't even read New York Times Apple News Plus because they thought it was a bad deal. I just want to see it happen. I just want to see people get paid fairly for the work they do. Next one comes from Deadline. Conan O'Brien launches fan call-in podcast written by Peter White. I like this. I got this email. I'm a huge fan of Conan, so I'll cover anything he does. Although I do think that he is running down the clock on that talk show. I mean, that's not rude or anything. I just think that's what's happening. Because I remember last year that they talked about how Conan was re-upped for a couple years or something like that. A couple years with TBS. And then he was re-upped with TBS, and then they said that his hour was going to go to a half hour. And so, or not last year, it was a year and a half ago. And then so you were excited to see, it was 2 years ago at this point, Jesus. So then you're excited to see, well, in my case, I was excited to see, Conan. All right, let's see what this half-hour show is. And then the show, they go to break for 4 months. And they come back, the show's half an hour, he's sitting down talking to people. For 2 segments in the top, and at the top he's doing a monologue. I'm okay, or he's doing a little comedy bit. All right, fine, whatever. It's not the greatest, but whatever. And then at some point, very soon into that contract, they go, Conan's gonna move his show. He's gonna quit the talk show and he's gonna move to a weekly show on HBO Max. And I remember the press release, because I remember Conan saying we're just going to get smaller and smaller. It's going to be shorter and shorter. At some point, we're going to do 1 episode a year, just stuff like that. But now, I mean, he's found a hitch in podcasting. People love the show. Team Coco his production company is just apparently doing gangbusters, because what I'm about to read to you is So Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend is this podcast where he talks to famous people, and it's the interview thing. It's just what he did on his talk show, but in audio form. But now on that same feed, it's going to come out every Thursday. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, where fans can call in and talk to Conan and his assistant Sonam Asesian and comedy improviser / engineer Matt Corley. And they'll do it via Zoom each week. They used to do voicemails and answer questions in Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, the podcast, at the end in the last 15 or 20 minutes of the show. I stopped listening to that part. But I love Conan, but God, I can't listen to people ask questions. What's your favorite sketch you did? But now they're doing this. And then also, separately, the company has dated its Curb With Your... JB Smoove is going to have a podcast. It's called May I Elaborate? Daily Wisdom from JB Smoove. It's going to launch on April 26th. And see the comedian and his co-host Miles Gross offer up affirmations, elaborations, and hallucinations each day as they read a new quote from an inspirational calendar and try to squeeze even more wisdom and motivation out of it. That seems like it's going to be a 15-minute podcast. That's what The Indicator with Planet Money, from Planet Money, rather. That's a daily podcast, Monday through Friday, and it's only 15 minutes, if that. And, there's also Up First. That's Sunday through Sunday. What do rappers say? Friday through Friday? I think Big Sean said that in a song. I work from Wednesday to Wednesday. Team Coco's podcast network has amassed over 250 million downloads to date. Look at the podcast it produces. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. 3 Questions with Andy Richter. Literally with Rob Lowe. Inside Conan, a important Hollywood podcast. The Best of Stand-Up from Conan. What? Dad's the Podcast with Roy Scovel. I remember that. Scam Goddess, which he acquired from Earwolf. Good Game, Nice Try. Why Won't You Date Me with Nicole Byer, which they acquired from HeadGum. And May I Elaborate? Daily Wisdom from David Smooth. It has 2 scripted podcasts with Luminary, which is the paid podcasting platform. Frontier, Tween, and Smarter. Oh, Smarter is Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. Yeah, I believe the Smarter podcast is them. Let's double check. Who cares? No, it's not. Then which one? What show is that? Big tech is at the height of its power, so why are so many people losing faith in Silicon Valley? We live through the tech lash now. I don't know what this is. And they've only done 11 episodes, and it seems they haven't made any since 2019. Yeah, okay, they haven't made it since 2019. Maybe that's a defunct podcast. What's Jason Bateman's podcast? I shouldn't be able to say the words Jason Bateman podcast. Will Arnett. You're famous. Go do something else. I watched Thunder Force. Smartless. That's what it's called. Smartless. I'm not going to talk about Thunder Force. The more less said, the better. I just don't. It wasn't good. And I like everything. I try not to talk bad about anything, but man, oh man. The actors did well. This next one comes from The Wrap. We're almost done. You got nowhere to be. It's a 30-minute podcast. Who cares? Sean Birch. Apple Music to artists. : We pay 1 penny per stream, double what Spotify pays. The tech giant makes the case to recording artists that it's more artist-friendly than its chief rival. So there's been a big fervor for the past couple of years about how Spotify, streaming in general, does not pay artists for streams. Remember, it's something like 150 streams equals 1 play or something like that, or 1 album play or something like that. But a penny is, how much does Spotify pay? I think it was 1/3 to 1/2 of a penny per stream on average. That is how much it was. 1/3 to 1/2 of a penny. A third of a penny. A third of a penny. This is brought to light by Wall Street Journal. As WSJ points out, I think the TV stopped. As WSJ points out, Spotify delivers more streaming revenue to artists overall because it has a lot more users. Spotify had 345 million active users, including 155 million paying customers. By the end of 2020, the company is set to report its Q1 performance later this month. Apple Music, in comparison, has about 60 million subs the last time it shared an update in mid-2019. So let's pretend it's 2021 now. They probably have 20 more million, 80 million at least. The tech giant Apple also said it pays 52% of subscription revenue to record labels. Spotify is in that same range, paying 50 to 53 cents on each dollar. The discussion behind streaming royalties is going to get bigger and bigger. I think, especially now since people have not toured for the past year, I think it's got to come to a head at some point because, they're seeing this dip in revenue because touring is how they make their money. So if you don't see, let's say you make, I don't know, this is not the number. This is way too low, but let's say $10 million from touring, and you don't get that money at all. Let's say you only get 2 million because you had guaranteed, or because you toured at the beginning of 2020 and you toured into March and you only made 2 million or I don't know, $1.5 million, and then you had guaranteed money from these other places, guaranteed minimums, and you only pulled in 2.5 million total. Then your other source of income was supposed to come from streaming. And even though that's not going to be in that 10 million range or 5 million or whatever, I don't know. It's hard to be a musician. I think musicians have it tough. Comedians have it bad, but I think musicians have it tough as well. They all have it tough, those rich people. What's it, Semi-Charm Kind of Life? Where, wait, what's it? Is that the one? Semi-Charm Kind of Life. What's the one where they complain? Oh, Jesus. This is going to bother me. I got to look this up. It's on my I have a playlist called Dirty Pop, and it's just pop from the 2000s. Also, I have a theory that rap from the early 2000s is just bad. I just think it's bad. I listen to only 90s rap or rap that's after the 2010s. I think rap from the 2000s to 2009 is just bad. The exception of a few. I just think it's bad. I love 90s rap. Oh, Ice Cube, Raekwon, the rest. The rest. Okay, the RZA, the Jizza, Old DB. I was about to say a bad word. What is the song I'm thinking about? Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous by Good Charlotte. Can't play that, but yes, there you go. And they complain about their lives, and then the Good Charlotte's like, we should go rob them. I think we should rob them. Lifestyles of the rich and the famous. No one complaining, always complaining. If money is such a problem, then we should rob them. I can't stop. Russell Brandom, last story over at The Verge. Tech workers. Russell Brandom? That sounds wrong. Feels like he mistyped his name. My name is Brandon. Brandom? Okay. You're right. Tech workers at the New York Times have formed a union. Oh! This is the thing I mentioned earlier. Okay. This is what I was talking about with Reuters. I said I think we talked about this last week, but we didn't. This is the thing. This is the first thing I put on my list last week. That's what happened. So tech workers at New York Times have formed a union. They formed a union under the News Guild of New York, which is the big guild in New York. The new union, called the Tech Times Guild, represents more than 650 workers from the digital side of the company. Had no clue. I had no clue that many people. Obviously, they can't all be writers, but this includes software engineers, designers, and data analysts. Obviously, they have data analysts and designers. I did not think the software engineers would be considered under that. I thought they would have to go under their own union. But this makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking. Those employees are not included on the editorial union of the New York Times, which represents more than 3,000 reporters and media professionals at the newspaper, and is organized under News Guild. Now, New York Times owns Wirecutter, which is a deals website that reviews things and says which one's the best and which ones aren't and all this stuff. And so it's a wonderful website for comparison's sake. But I wonder if they're under the tech side or if they're under the editorial side. Because they are writers, so I would assume that. But they're reviewing stuff. I don't know. I think tech means like they're actually doing things that aren't writing. The editorial union has historically excluded employees on the digital side of the paper, even as the company has expanded into more ambitious data and digital work. And I think they're doing, they have a lot of, when something big happens, like when the Capitol riots happened, they had a couple of like grand pieces, features that would track every piece of video up until the end of the riot. So from the day before, like the weeks before, and then into the riot. But then like they would have like maps and stuff, like digital maps, and the maps were animated, and obviously those people are considered under the tech union. But again, I thought they were under the regular union, the editorial union. But now this makes much more sense, and now they can fight for themselves and money and healthcare and all that stuff. The Tech Times Guild is seeking a separate bargaining unit, which would negotiate separately with the Times management. They acknowledge that they face a lot of it's an uphill battle over there, Tech Times. But I'm glad that they're on it. I'm glad that this is a way for them to get recognized. However, speaking of recognition, the Times has not formally responded to the union's request for recognition. The Times is apparently still considering the request. The New York Times Company said in a statement, voluntary recognition is a significant decision. We have heard questions from colleagues such as what a union would mean for staff, who might be included in the union, and how colleagues would have a say in who might represent them. We want to make sure all voices are heard. That sounds as boilerplate as Amazon. At least, I mean, Amazon's still a bad company. And then they were saying people didn't pee in bottles, and then they finally acknowledged, okay, people peed in bottles. What was right or better? But who knows if that's going to work, if anything's going to happen. This labor organizing, I think, is again, I think it's good. I think it's good. These people need to be represented in ways that, and yeah, unions can slow things down, and we've seen unions be bad in terms of police unions and protecting their own kind. But at some point, people have liberties and rights. Now, the police unions, those are bad. Those are bad. But these editorial unions, they're great. I just got the second dose of the vaccine, and I was driving to pick up the table, and the entire way there, it took about 15 minutes. I just held my arm up in the car because I heard, you do that, like you get the flu shot, or if you get any type of shot, you hold your arm up, and it lessens the pain. So now I'm just waiting until I start getting like, a fever or something, or I'm really tired. I mean, it's going to happen. Just little side effects. Listen, speaking of side effects, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can... Okay. Just a very long text from my mom talking about job stuff. Where you can see, I don't know, me interview comedians sometimes. I haven't done one since Chris Gethard. I only want to stay in that range of comedian now. If that sounds bad, let it sound bad. So be it. I got to be truthful with myself. Man. I can't go back to somebody who's doing comedy for 2 years and they're putting out an album and they shouldn't be. YouTube.com/C+Comedy if you want to see a video version of the show. Oh, excuse me. iPad, come on. Oh, you can't see that I'm holding that. Oh, interesting. Okay. It looks like. I'm sorry. If you're watching the video, you saw me try to pick up the iPad. Anyway, I'm doing some stuff. YouTube.com/C+Comedy to see a video version of the show. I don't know why you would want to watch this because it looks horrible right now. And premiere show, I mentioned at the top of the show, News Time. News Time is a weekly show where it's like the Daily Show except less funny. I sit down, I do a story. It's written. There's jokes and stuff, whatever, bits. Sometimes I play a character. Yeah. It's all right. No, it's good. It's good. I love the show. I love doing it. This week's episode was about disability in film. Disability in film and television. And how, speaking of representation, getting represented. I've done episodes about people of color. I've done episodes about women. Now it's time for people with disabilities, with different abilities, and then maybe the LGBTQ community, and then that'll be it. I'll stop. It goes the coloreds, the dames, the quiz, the crips. I'm going to get canceled for saying that. Okay. Twitter, Instagram, @C+Comedy. Me on Twitter, Instagram, @ChatBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Tell your friends. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I'm pressing the outro. Goodbye.